Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Orion Cypress, just like the constellation in the sky, and today I wanted to discuss Jason and the Argonauts. And I felt like the best way to do that was to make a video, and played by my action figures. So let's get right into the characters and story.
This is the protagonist, Jason. He is a young, strapping young lad who goes after the Golden Fleece to reclaim his kingdom. This is the ruthless villain, Phineas, who is ruthless and evil and wants the Golden Fleece for himself. This is the Greek goddess Hera, who is jealous of Zeus for allowing Phileas to kill and to conquer her temple. Hera also aids Jason on his quest. This is Phineas, a wise blind man who is able to give guidance to Jason to finding the location of the Golden Fleece. These are Jason's allies. Argos, the one who builds the Argon. Melita, who is the one that Jason falls in love with and helps him gain the Golden Fleece. And last but not least, Hercules, the strong and noble, powerful hero who protects Jason on his quest to finding the Golden Fleece. And finally, the betrayer, Achilles, who wants to steal the Golden Fleece for his father, Philoneus. Philoneus, in his quest to be king, defeats his brother and takes over the land. A young Jason barely makes it out alive and hides away in another kingdom. Phineas hears a prophecy that Jason will return and take his throne back from him. But he is not worried, for 20 years is a long time. One day near a river, Jason helps an old lady get over the river and loses his shoe in the process. The old lady turns out to be Hera, and Hera tells Jason about the tale of Philoneus who defeated his father and that he, Jason, is the rightful heir to the throne. Jason goes off to confront Philoneus. Now empowered by Hera's words, he returns to reclaim the throne, not realizing that Philoneus is standing right in front of him. Philoneus says he will surrender the throne if Jason can find the Golden Fleece. So Jason goes off to assemble a crew to find the Golden Fleece. Jason forms his motley crew and they gain a ship. The crew board the Argon and set sail. The Argonauts find themselves in a land of women who tempt them all into making babies. And they do. They spend a lot of time on this island, but eventually their quest must continue. They encounter giant six-armed men on their quest, and thankfully escape. They find Phineas after they agree to defeat some harpies. Phineas tells them the location of the fleece and that they have to pass the crushing rocks of despair. Phineas tells them the only way they can get through the crashing rocks if they send a pigeon through. And fortunately, the Argonauts safely make it through. The Argonauts make it to Colchis, the land of the fleece, and Jason attempts to ask for it peacefully. But the king refuses, so Jason must defeat the king's challenges. Jason defeats a raging bull, plows the land, and then defeats the skeletons. He conquers the trials that were put before him, and now off for the fleece. Before the trials begin, Melita aids Jason in fireproof armor and other magic spells. After this, the king does not want to give up the Golden Fleece and sends his son to go kill Jason and not retrieve the fleece. Jason and Melita defeat the dragon and retrieve the fleece. Meanwhile, the Argonauts fight off the king's army. Luckily for the Argonauts, they escape with the Golden Fleece and with most of them intact. However, the journey home was not easy. They run into Talos, who throws giant boulders at them. You have the Sarens, who try knocking them off course with their beautiful music, but fortunately, they avoid it. And by some miracle of Zeus, they finally land. Returning home, Jason finds his father, barely alive. And with Melita's help, Jason's father feels 40 years younger and very powerful. They go off to find Phylias. Then Jason confronts Phylias with the Golden Fleece, and Phylias refuses it. They ask Melita to heal Phylias the way she feels. Yeah. They ask Melita to heal Phylias the way that she healed Jason's father. When she tricks him and kills him instead, Hecates takes control and banishes Melita and Jason from the land. Melita and Jason live out the rest of their lives and have a kid. But Jason grows bored of Melita, marries somebody else, and they also have kids. In her fury, Melita kills Jason's new wife and all of his children. Jason, in his misery and sorrow, is killed by a rotted beam of the Argon.
So that was the story of Jason and the Argonauts, the original story. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It took a long time to make. And now into the films of Jason and the Argonauts. There are two, one from 1963 and one from the 2000s. So let's get right into that. The first movie was made in 1963 by director Don Chaffee. The storyline is fairly simple compared to the original story. Phylias is prophesied to take the throne of Thessaly and defeat the former king. The former king's son, Jason, is able to make it out alive, and years later returns to Thessaly to have his rightful spot as king. And then Phineas is about to drown, and Jason saves him. Phineas and him have a quick chat, and Jason says he wants to take back the throne by grabbing the Golden Fleece. Phineas sends him on his way. Jason assembles a motley crew of the finest men in Greece, including Hercules, and under their protection from Hera, queen of the gods, their voyage goes up against Herpes, a giant bronze statue called the Talos, a Hydra, a skeleton army, and many more. The special effects were brought to this film by Ray Harryhausen, and I personally think he does an amazing job with the special effects. This film is truly legendary, just as it always will be. On to the 2000s remake. The second movie was made in 2000 by director Nick Willing, and was also made by Hallmark. The storyline follows the same beats as the original story and the 1963 version, with Jason but in this version, Jason's father is killed by Phylias, and he doesn't kill his mother, and Jason's quest to find the Golden Fleece is to protect and save his mother. And they go through a very similar story beat, but they run into
Poseidon. They also run into the land of the women, and they eventually find Colchis. Jason himself has to go through the trials, which Meledia helps him with them, and they get the Golden Fleece. They return to Theseus, where Jason defeats Philinnius and marries Melita, and they live happily ever after. There are a lot of memorable characters in this one, but to me the storyline, it feels a little too long and is again still not very accurate to the original story without the inclusion of the giant bronze statue dang it. Overall, this film is good. Dennis Hopper definitely elevates it, playing Philinnius. But for me personally, Jason London just sounds too much like Anakin Skywalker from the prequels for me to really get engaged. I think the previous actor, Todd Armstrong, does a way better job as Jason in my personal opinion. So, now on to the comparison between the two films. Now that I've discussed both films, which film do I think is closer to the original story, and which one do I think is a better film? Without a doubt, the 2000s version is way closer to the story. It's got the return trip, it's got more of the monsters, it has the trials, it's a lot closer to the story. However, I think the 1963 version is a lot better as a film. I feel like the characters look the part, they act the part, the special effects I think really sell it. The cliffs to the stop motion monsters that I think hold up way better than the 2000 CGI. To me, both are really good films, and I honestly recommend watching them both and make your own judgment for yourself. So anyways guys, this is Orion Cyberts. I hope you enjoyed this project presentation. It's a lot different from everybody else's, but sometimes I like to stand out. So anyways guys, peace and have a great night.
I'm just like a regular Jason and the Argonauts over here.